So let's do a bit of a review of the just concluded season for Arsenal. Second again for the third consecutive time in the Premier League. Everybody is, hitting on Arteta to say, oh, you've had a terrible season again, no trophies. But from a business standpoint, let's just take a step back to review what just happened. Strictly speaking, this was a fantastic season, financially. If you're a shareholder at Arsenal, you will understand that this was a very good season, especially because Arsenal went really far in the Champions League. And think about it. How could Arsene Wenger have kept his job for as long as he did without winning major trophies? That will tell you that the shareholders technically are not so worried about what has happened this season. The people who care the most about trophies, by the way, are the fans. Next to maybe the manager, because his career as a whole is on the line, and then the club sometimes. But one of the things you must understand about Arsenal as a club is they've been very business-minded, probably the whole time. And they understand what a good season is from a financial perspective. So just playing a bit of a devil's advocate about this season, everybody's saying, oh, Arteta has a terrible record, he's had 5 seasons to win a trophy, nothing has come. Just bear in mind that from a financial standpoint, this is not a bad season at all. Now let's take a step back. Why was last season the way it is? The season just ended. Why is everybody saying, oh, we made a financial mistake, we should have signed a striker, before the start of the season? I agree. Even in the January transfer window, there was an opportunity to sign, even though it was a terrible window. But then, think about it. At the start of last season, we had 2 strikers. We had Kai Havertz, who we'll call him a makeshift striker, and then Gabriel Jesus. And if you think about it, there was the desire to plug the holes in the team, right? We needed cover. We got in Mikel Merino. The defense was a bit shaky. We got Calafiori in, and we got back, of course, Jurgen Timber, who was injured the previous season. We had Declan Rice on the previous, summer, and it looked like everything was shaping up nicely. But there was still that desire to get a clinical finisher. If you think about it, how do you have a Gabriel Jesus, who is one of the highest earners in the club, on your books, but technically he's just not there, and you still say you needed a striker? 2 things are wrong with having a Kai Havertz and a Gabriel Jesus going into a season. One is that both of them are not really world class, which means, if you think about it, all the Premier League seasons that clubs have won titles, you can point to one clinical striker that made the difference. This current season, we can talk about Liverpool's what's his name, Salah, excellent striker, he made the difference. The season Leicester won the league, you can talk about Jamie Vardy, excellent striker. The last Manchester United Premier League title, they had Wayne Rooney, but they still needed to get Van Persie to make that difference. You can go on and on and on. Chelsea had the Drogba when they won multiple titles. Even Manchester City that have won multiple titles, they had Kun Aguero when he was leaving. They got Haaland, and they've kept winning and winning and winning. But again, Arsenal, both Kai Havertz and Gabriel Jesus are not necessarily world-class strikers. Now, Gabriel Jesus on his day can be world-class, but he's just not there. I can't think of any season he's played the entire year. We don't even when he plays, he's not really a prolific goal scorer. He's a good team player, playmaker. He helps with the squad. He's a squad player, but he's not really clinical. So yes, Arsenal needs a striker, and even going into this next season, there's clearly what Arsenal must do to make sure that we are not, recycling the same old problem. Next season, Arsenal must recognize that if there are players on your books who are not giving you the results or the goals, you might have to move them on. I can understand Zinchenko. I personally would feel for the likes of Gabriel Jesus and Zinchenko when they came from Manchester City. There was lots of passion and enthusiasm. They actually were the ones who started this whole, revolution in Arsenal. And I would love for them to win a major title. But if Mikel Arteta must, deliver big things in the next season, then this might be the time to let go of a player like Gabriel Jesus. Maybe you keep Zinchenko because of his versatility, or Gabriel Jesus, because there's this false feeling that we have a striker when we actually don't. So we say, and I've heard fans say, we need someone to call for Bukayo Saka when he's injured and all that stuff. We need to recognize that we do not have a striker. This season, or last season if you like, he played a couple of games, scored a couple of goals, and he was out for the entire season. He's just on and off. Even when he plays, sometimes he's not prolific. So what must Arsenal change this season? The sentiments must be over. In fact, if I'm to really speak to where Arsenal got it wrong, I would say technically it would be that Kai Havertz signing, because there was this, okay, so we let go of Saka, Granit Xhaka, and we're like, okay, let's get in somebody who can play both, you know, in the 8th position and also play as a centre forward sometimes. But it didn't really work out. I love Kai Havertz as a player. He's an excellent backup striker. He's very fit most of the time, and he can fit in the middle most of the time as well. So we'll keep him. He's a wonderful squad player. But we must get an out-and-out finish. I'm not just someone who, and that's why, again, I'm actually routing for Gyökeres over Sesko, because clearly Gyökeres is the finished product. He's ready to bang in the goals. He's not messing around, and he's the exact ace striker you need to win titles. So Gyökeres, we get that. We must recognize that Thomas Partey is the engine room of the Arsenal midfield. We cannot let go of him. We get that. We get a Gyökeres of that sort of mode, and then of course we get a solid winger that gives good competition to the likes of Martinelli and Trossard. Those guys should actually be starting on the bench. If Arsenal is really going to challenge at the highest level, the likes of Gabriel Martinelli and Trossard have to start from the bench. We need a solid winger who can actually bench both of them on his day, and we can, you know, bring in the likes of Kai Havertz of the bench, and of course we must recognize that the strength of our bench is really crucial. A deep squad is the secret to a successful season. Look at Liverpool's bench; they can throw in 3-4 strikers, you know, to change a game, and that is the sort of depth Arsenal need. Don't forget, times are changing. The league time, every season, the squad we have to play more games now, and there's a lot more demand on players, you know, fitness. They go on international breaks, they get injured. Rotation is a must. You can't play Saka the way you played him last season and the season before. He's going to keep picking up injuries. He's now starting to look like a fragile player just because we can't get to give him enough rest. So Arsenal must make changes, but I don't like to think that this season was terrible. I like to think that there's been progress, and don't mind all the fans out there talking about how Arteta out just because he has not won the title. I don't really think that's how it works. I think we've seen progress, and next season everyone should get excited. I hope that we're able to get the strikers in, and I'm not even going to go into that Sesko versus Gyökeres argument. I'll let the coach do his job, and at the end of the season, we'll do our judgment. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I'll see you on the next one.